Welcome to the Butter What podcast thing. I don't know if this is a podcast, though, Tubby, but we're going to say it is anyway. And this podcast is being filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. That's kind of cool.
This is
It's
very
like
cool.
Cheers. You remember Cheers?
I remember Cheers.
And in this part, we're going to talk about our heading says it's going to be, I already forgot, pies and Arduinos and things.
Pies and Arduinos.
And the first thing on the list is your project, Brian. You bought me a whole set of these things around Christmas time, and I was excited.
I did. Yeah,
This is the Pi-KVM, right?
This is the Pi-KVM. This is really all your fault because you had sent it. You had sent it before. I mean, like, I don't want to say months ago, but I can't remember. I was griping one day about one of my IPMI interfaces on my NAS or my home lab being. I don't want to say.
What's an IPMI interface, Brian?
I don't know what it stands for.
Well, it doesn't matter what it stands for. What does it?
You
what
can
does it do?
you can use it to remotely access the hardware in computer. It's mostly enterprise grade hardware, kind of a lot like
But why would I want to do that? What's the?
because
What's
it's
it do for me?
because your cubicle's like half a mile away and it's in the data center and you don't want to walk half a mile. And usually
Over
it's
there.
over there,
So
or maybe
it's
it's
snowing at 2 a.m. and I need to change a BIOS setting,
yeah
and I could do that with IPMI.
with
I could get-
IPMI from
I
your
can remote in and hit Control Alt Delete.
Yeah.
I can hit the reset button,
it's like you're
It-
it's like you're
bang on
physically
the
there.
delete key.
Hit a button.
Can you hear that?
Hit the numlock key and see if the light turns on or off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Pi-KVM is a lot. The IPMI interface that I was having difficulty with, it was just difficult to use. I mean, it's I don't know, probably kind of a first world problem complaint. You know, like my air conditioning's working, but it's 1 degree too cold. Woe is me, kind of thing. But it wasn't
But
working.
these IPMI interfaces are usually only available on premium priced
Yeah,
motherboards
yeah.
or rack mount servers and
So-
stuff. It's not something.
So hardware that you would expect to be in a data center somewhere, not necessarily, in a tucked behind a desk.
Like that
Just
one
a few
behind
feet.
you.
Yeah.
There.
Like that? Yeah. That one has an IPMI interface. Maybe this one right here. So yeah, the Pi-KVM, you use a Raspberry Pi and we use just a USB capture card. Captures an HDMI interface, and it's got a cool little web interface that you pull up in a browser, and it's like remotely access. You're allowed to remotely access a computer
Through the browser.
through the browser. Yeah, through your browser.
I'm going to hit play in the window here,
Okay,
but you keep talking.
hitting that.
That's pretty
that
much what
device.
Brian's doing in this video from YouTube here.
And one of the things, I mean, it's a neat little project. I mean, somebody's worked really hard on it. In the video, I can't remember which video.
I'm in the wrong video, too. So that's
Well, I don't.
a good job, Pat.
That's the.
Oh, God, it's playing music. Okay, I fixed it.
Yeah. Well, it's. But yeah, this is me accessing the console on several different computers.
Yeah, you don't have to tell us what
Yeah.
you're doing there. Just tell, yeah.
And it's real. I mean, it's a cool little project. It's inexpensive. I mean, I think that's really the neatest thing about this. There are KVM switches that do exactly this, and
They're horrible.
they're not fun to use, and they're really expensive.
Yeah.
When I wrote the blog, I went out to try and find something even remotely comparable, and there just wasn't. The closest thing that I came
And they're
to,
only VGA usually, right?
yeah, they're only VGA, or I found some weird crack. They called it a crash cart thing, and I linked to it in the blog. I don't even know what it is, but that was more for. The crash cart thing was more for similar use case, but you actually carried it around and plugged it in to the hardware.
Well, we used to have a literal
Yeah,
crash cart. It was a cart with a CRT
Yeah.
And a keyboard sitting on top that you put because you couldn't carry it around. You had to push it
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, and that's what that was for. And that, I mean, not even really the same thing.
And the neat thing about this, compared like the motherboard in my little server over here is only $100, and you're probably looking at $300 or $400 for the server grade motherboards that tend to have IPMI. But if I spend $100 building a Raspberry Pi KVM out of parts, it's mine. I have it. It doesn't just work with that motherboard.
Yeah.
Right?
You can use it.
I can take it with me. I can
give it to a friend. Yeah.
give it to a friend to borrow. And our next topic will include some of this. But on my Pi KVM, and I think Brian did the same thing, I loaded Tailscale on mine, which is a VPN. It's a mesh VPN. I could set up the Pi KVM. I could go to my father's house, leave the Pi KVM on his computer, and I can remote into it from here to help him with something. Or I can mail it to him and he could plug it in and it would just work.
Yep. And you can't do any of that with the other KVM, IP over KVM devices at all, even the really expensive enterprise grade stuff.
No, but you could do a lot of this with some sort of remote desktop.
Yep.
But if the troubleshooting involves any kind of hardware, like if you've got to, configure the cylinders and sectors on a hard drive, you remember doing that? You wouldn't be able to do that with remote desktop. You would need something like a KVM.
Yep.
And it's an IP KVM. In the old days, our KVMs were local things that you had to.
You still had to walk up to it. Yep.
Yeah. KVM stands. We didn't say this. Keyboard, video, and mouse is KVM. But in this segment, this is Pis and Arduinos and things of that nature, right? So, Brian, didn't you just order the parts for one of these race timers?
I did.
What kind of racing do you time with this?
I was about to say,
Tubby?
For people who aren't familiar, Pat and I like to fly FPV quadcopters. All of mine, I see Pat looking for his. All of mine are up there.
My wire's not long enough.
But we fly quadcopters, and I don't know that either of us are racers.
Don't worry, I've got a little one here.
I don't think that any of us are racers. But the other day I came across a project called the Delta 5 Race Timer. And essentially what it is it's a lap timer for quadcopter racing. Like, we're not racers, but we like flying the quadcopters. And the way it works is, our quadcopters are broadcasting a video signal on a particular frequency.
Yep, in the 5.8 gigahertz.
And what happens
is
you set the race timer up near the beginning of your racetrack.
The finish line.
The finish line.
The start-finish line.
The start-finish line. And at any time, you program it to look for the particular racers on their own channels. And then it just basically keeps count of how many seconds have elapsed since the last time that quadcopter flew past the start-finish line.
And this one's kind of a do-it-yourself project.
Yeah, this is.
You could buy one of these for quite a few $100s.
Yep, they're like
you
almost.
You could buy one that tracks one quad just yourself for about $120.
And as I understand it, it works okay like with a couple quadcopters. And I imagine
I was under the impression the single one only had one video receiver. So
the couple reviews that I watched said that there was a mode that you could use that it could monitor multiple channels or frequencies.
Okay.
But that it was, I don't want to say not good, less nice with the more pilots, and that that it was flaky. I mean, I guess it's just constantly pinging between the two frequencies. I don't know.
And if it's if it's not on the right frequency at the right time, it might miss a lap or get a time.
Miss a lap or depending on the layout of your course, it might. I don't pick up the wrong thing.
I'm looking at this over in the. Let's see if this is a.
So the developer created a PCB to make it easier, but it is essentially a Raspberry Pi plus Arduino Nano.
Yeah. four. The one you bought, it's a 4-port, 4 channels.
Yep.
So you can have 4 racers.
The PCB's four channels, and then there's like a daisy chain connection so that you could add 8 more if you or I'm
it's
sorry.
tough to get 8 pilots.
Yeah,
in the
I was
air
about.
at the same time.
I meant
4
to say
is pretty good.
I meant to say four more, but yeah, I bought enough components to build all 8, but I'm assuming a lot of the components that I bought are coming from AliExpress and Banggood, and I'm kind of banking on one or two.
About how much have you spent, do you think, on parts?
I haven't been keeping track. I did a bad
Just
job.
make up a number. Give
I
me
think-
your best guess.
I bet you $150. I mean,
So not much more than a single port, and
Not
you got
much
enough
more-
to build 2 4-ports and plus lots of spare parts.
plus lots of spare parts. Yep, and I think it's
And
neat.
it looks to me you got these sockets. You put an Arduino Nano on each of these 4
Yep.
spaces, and I know up here go 4 of the same sort of receivers that go in our goggles.
Yep.
The receiver chips. And I know there's spots for voltage regulators and things. But this is really neat, Tubby.
It's a really neat, and I saw it. I liked that the PCB existed. It looked like good soldering practice for those of us, me, who's still just not very good. Not good, maybe confident in my ability to solder things.
I have confidence that you'll do a good job putting one of these together.
I hope so. I think it'll be fun. It looks like a fun project, and I've got enough spare parts that if I let the smoke out of anything, it'll still work. And I'm excited to maybe do some tiny whoop racing at the house. Set up a course.
Yeah, tiny whoops. Let me bet you keep talking, Tubby, because I've got one here.
Tiny whoops are little tiny quadcopters that are kind of safe.
Little toy size guys. They're you could get smacked in the face with this and it'd be okay. You can fly these around the house. You're not going to smash your TV, but they fly with all the same goggles and radios and stuff that we use for the bigger quads. So you can do this in the house when it's raining.
In the house when it's raining or
And they're so much fun to
cold or
race.
dark.
You get 3 or 4 people together and you set up a goofy track going under chairs and tables and through hula hoops and things. It's a lot of fun.
We've had a lot of fun. Pat even got me a whole bunch of magnetic and suction cup gates, like actual race gates. I don't have
really
one.
cool.
It's a lot of fun. So I'm excited to add a time element to that because you know before we did racing and I mean, we did a course and we just had fun. Nobody.
Yeah, well, and I would kind of every now and then I'd look at the timer, the arm time in my goggles, and say, "Oh yeah, that was about 20-something." But there's no precision to it, right?
Yeah.
It's just me looking at it. I'm hoping. Yeah, this will be so much cooler.
Well, the PCBs came from a custom PCB printing shop. I could have ordered 5 for $5, but they also had
Or
an
10
option
for
for 10 for $5. So I was like, well, 10 is 8 more than I need, so I'm gonna get those.
You may as well.
Yeah.
I think it was a good choice. Now I'm gonna take a quick look at the chat here because it's tough to look at the chat and talk to you at the same time.
3D Weeby's asking about your different coffee mug.
Oh yeah, this one. This one has coffee, and I've got these little Julies in here that I can't really touch and show you because they're icky right now. But these keep the coffee warmer longer. But I finished the coffee. This one's just water. There's no coffee in this one. But it's got a Butter What logo on it. It's very hard to aim this Butter What logo at the camera.
This is Diet Dr. Pepper. It tastes more like regular Dr. Pepper.
This is true. Well, we're going to do it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Should we announce... Now, see, I disagree with you and 3D Weeb that we should do an introduction. But I'm wondering if we should do an outro to put on the 4 of these potential videos. Like we do the live stream every first Tuesday or something. I don't even think we have to do it for this set of videos. I'm not too worried about it. But
that's not a bad idea to routinely.
Yeah.
Say, hey,
Yeah, just routinely at the end of every episode, say we do this every first Tuesday
of the month.
and
Make sure to like and subscribe.
yeah, make sure to
Click
like
the
and subscribe.
notification bell.
All those things will go in this outro.
Smash that stuff.
And you know I'm going to use this as our outro.
Oh, I hope that you do.
For all these videos, this nonsense that we're speaking
Patreon.
right now.
We each have
Patreon. We do each have Patreon, and the URLs for those will be in the description. And if we were good at this, I would explain to you why it's a good idea to support us on Patreon. But I did not prepare for that, guys. So I have to apologize for that.
You too might want a butt sensor for your home automation, and your contributions on Patreon are a huge reason why we're able to make butt sensors.
It's true. I could not have made a butt sensor without the support of my patrons. And I'm not even